Hello and welcome to the PossAbilities Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie. It's nice to see you. I hope you're well. Today, on today's episode, I'm joined by Asif. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely no problem. Thank you for coming on. So just to start off, could you briefly explain to the listeners who you are and the role you sort of have here at PossAbilities?
Yeah, so my name's Asif. I'm a team leader over in Stockport, supported living services. So we manage 12 services at the moment over in Stockport, supporting people with physical and learning disabilities.
Yeah, so you've been with PossAbilities for quite some time, and through that time you've taken on a number of roles here. Can you talk us through your journey at a glance?
Yes, well, I started with PossAbilities on the casual register when they changed over from Rochdale Council and became PossAbilities, and then 5 years ago in April I took on a contract as a support worker at Respite, and then from support worker I moved on to support officer within 18 months, and then within another 6 months I took on my first house manager's role, managing one of the properties over in Todmorden, and then another property came up in Rochdale, so I then managed 2 properties. I then went on to the succession plan with PossAbilities, and not so long after, so it was 2 years ago, and then I was lucky enough to get the job that I'm in now. So yeah, in a 5-year period I've gone from support worker to team leader.
That sounds amazing. That's great. So you run an LGBTQ group for our service users. Could you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so obviously working within PossAbilities we work with lots of different people, and some of the people we support identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender. So when I was supporting one individual, we found that there wasn't anything in the Greater Manchester area that was specific to people with learning disabilities. So there wasn't any group out there for gay men, bisexual men, transgender, lesbian, specifically with learning disabilities as well. So I approached Rachel Law, the CEO, and asked what her thoughts would be about us setting up a group specifically for those we support, so they've got somewhere to come who are obviously identify as LGBT.
Yeah. So was PossAbilities one of the first organisations who help adults with special needs and things like that? Were they the first sort of organisation to think about the LGBTQ community and setting up a group like that?
That I'm aware of. So we looked for lots of different groups and we tried to find something specific to those people that we support with learning disabilities. And we couldn't find anything in the local area or in the wider area such as Greater Manchester, so that was where the group came from.
Oh, wow. So going back to the group, can anyone join the group? Did they have to be part of PossAbilities? How did it go about joining the group in the first place?
No, so it's, as the poster says, it's do you identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or are you just unsure? It's for anyone to come along and join. We don't just expect it to be people from PossAbilities, it can be people from other organisations. As long as they can get here, then everyone's welcome.
That sounds brilliant, that sounds amazing. The fact that everyone's welcome is fantastic. So PossAbilities in the past have played a massive part in Manchester Pride, which is one of the biggest Pride festivals possibly in the world. Could you tell us a little bit more about the role that you played within PossAbilities and Manchester Pride.
Yeah, well, I myself attend Manchester Pride every year, and we like to watch the parade. And whilst watching the parade, I thought there's no representation of the people that we support. I didn't see anything specific to people with learning disabilities, and we know that the people we support, that they identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and they didn't have that visual presence in the LGBT community. So my thinking behind it was they needed that visibility and to be seen. So I approached again Rachel Law, CEO, with a big idea and said that I think PossAbilities should get involved and get the people we support out there and part of the LGBT community. And from there, we've done it. We did it in 2018, 2019. The plan was to do it in 2020, but obviously coronavirus took that one out of our hands. But the plan is for it to be going ahead this year, which will be the 28th of August. So that's the bank holiday weekend. So that's normally on the Saturday. So fingers crossed, if everything goes to plan, we should be taking part in Manchester Pride again this year.
Yes, yeah. So is your plan, we have seen floats and the routines that you put together for the Manchester Pride and the festival. So is your plan to go bigger and better is the big question there.
Every year after the parade's finished, the phrase that is said, next year it's going to be bigger and better. So that is the plan.
Well, that's exactly what we like to hear. You've got to get better every single time. So we mentioned that PossAbilities have a big part to play within Manchester Pride. So what's the preparation like leading up to the festival itself?
Yeah, well, there's lots of preparation involved. So what we usually do as part of the LGBT group is in our group meetings, we'll design the parade flow. Manchester Pride usually sets the theme and they'll let us know in advance. And then what we'll do is design a flow. It might be that we need to make props for it, we need to make costumes, and we do that as part of the group. And we do that for quite a number of weeks. I think last year we was doing it, well, not last year, 2019, we was making props and painting and gluing and sticking things together up until the night before. But it all comes off in the end, and then on the day of the parade, you're there at 9 o'clock in the morning, attaching all these props that you spent weeks making onto the back of a truck. But it all comes together and everyone has a fantastic time, so that's the main thing, and that's what it's all about.
That's fantastic to hear. So another question there is, how important is it for you to see people with learning disabilities and learning disabilities be represented within LGBTQ in the LGBTQ community?
I think it's important for everyone to have representation, and especially those we support, because just because somebody's got a learning disability doesn't mean that they can't be gay, they can't be lesbian, so they can't identify as LGBT, and they should be represented, they should be visible in the community, they should have that sense of community in the LGBT community. And I know when I go, I feel part of a community, there's people there, I feel safe, and those we should support should feel the same. Yeah, so the people we support should be visible and represented in the community because they are part of that community.
So you've worked in Stockport for the last 2 years, so you've had a load of roles within the company and within the business. So where would you see yourself within the next 2 years? and how has your experience been working in Stockport in particular?
When I first went to Stockport, it was daunting because it's a new area. I was used to Rochdale, I was used to the services over here, but it's been fantastic. I've learned so much. I work with such a fantastic team. My manager's got so much knowledge and I learn from her every day something new. So I've gained so much experience working in Stockport. PossAbilities have supported me through my progression and through my development. And within 5 years, I've progressed to team leader. I've got no plans on going anywhere anytime soon. I don't know if anyone else has got any. But yes, I see myself here for the foreseeable. This is my career. This is what I enjoy doing. I love working at PossAbilities.
PossAbilities is your family, basically.
Yeah, it's how accepting everyone is, and it's not just of the people we support, but the staff, and you can just be yourself. And yeah, it's the place that I see myself working. So
we've talked a lot about the LGBTQ community and the activities that you put on for our service users within PossAbilities. So how can people join away from the service if they're not part of PossAbilities, but they still want to be part of the LGBTQ groups and meetups that you do and organise? How can you do that?
We share everything on social media, so anything that we do, PossAbilities got a Facebook page, so we share on there when our meetings are. We plan to meet on the last Wednesday of every month. It's 5 o'clock till 6:30. So anyone who wants to come along, that information will be on the PossAbilities Facebook page just before, as well as lots of other things. And as well, it's Pride Month at the minute, so we're going to be doing some more activities all to do with like LGBT and the people that we support, so keep a lookout for them as well.
Oh, well, that's a fantastic way to end the podcast. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you to Asif for joining me for this episode, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody.